Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Cat's Writing and Reading Nook. Why did I pronounce those like T's? I don't know. Yes, this is not my normal accent, not my native one per se, but it is one that I have a lot of fun with. And the reason is we're reading Dracula, a British 19th century novel, and I'm going to apologize right now for the fact that my accent is going to flip-flop all over the place, but oh well. So this novel, as I said, was written in the 1890s by Bram Stoker. This is not the first vampire novel by any stretch. That was written earlier in the century, and I cannot quite remember the author's name at the moment. But he was friends with Mary Shelley, and that's a good bit of what you need to know. So with Dracula, it is mainly about the group of people who come together to stop him from taking over the world and vampirizing everyone like this. Hello. Yes, so I'm getting eaten by my cat. She's gonna show us what it looks like to get go for the neck even. She just woke up from a nap, so she could be grumpy. But regardless, I don't know, but with this story, it's very interesting because I didn't know what I was getting into with this, but if you look at it, one of its defining features is its epistolary style. Epistle referring to letters, which it's made up of letters, diary entries, journal entries, depending on which one you want to use, newspaper articles, and all sorts of things. And so it lends to a very interesting view of different events as you're looking through the eyes of different characters, and even how they present the situation to other people as opposed to themselves. It's very fascinating. But you start out with Jonathan Harker's journal as he is going to Transylvania to meet with Count Dracula, who he does not know is a vampire, or I'm sure he'd be much less inclined to visit. But he's going to help him with some real estate issues, and very quickly finds out that this is not a good idea. And then after his journal, you read the letters of his fiancée and one of her friends, and it just keeps going from there, and it's very interesting. But then one of the other things that I find so fascinating about this novel is the pacing, because it's slow. I mean, you do start off with meeting the Count, and that takes a bit, and then it takes a bit for Jonathan to start realizing there's something off about this guy, and then you switch over to the view of someone who doesn't realize that there's any danger at all, and and so it can take a while to actually get to where the danger, spoilers, it can take a while to really start seeing the danger fully grow, for lack of a better term. So it can be a bit slow at the beginning, but it really starts picking up after a bit with Mina and Lucy, Mina being Jonathan's fiancée and Lucy being her friend. And you start noticing how Stoker builds up the tension and weaves in the different threads from across the story. So different plot lines, different relationships. Just, the man is fantastic at dramatic irony. And you're just sitting there going, what are you doing? No! That's dangerous! It's wrong! And you get that wonderful little feeling, and it's just like, oh my goodness, none of you are gonna survive this, are you? But it's fantastic. And there is a Texan in here, and his name is Quincy Morris, and he's a very respectable man who is not afraid to have a gun. And it's really funny, because most of the time in most modern depictions, you tend to see the sleeping with your sister-in-law, redneck, white trash, all of these things about Texans. And while yes, they exist, most Texans don't do that. And it's frustrating, because then you're like, oh, yeah, no, I don't have a cowboy hat, but thank you very much. I kind of wish I did, though. But, you know, it's someone he's someone who's respectful of the people around him, but is given a Winchester, a lot of them, and it's, in some of his scenes, you're just sitting there going, yep, that sounds exactly like what most people in Texas would do. Oh, there's the one we're looking at, shoot it. Which, it's not specific to Texas, but it's one of the more faithful renderings of the spirit of the state. It's quite hilarious. But I really wasn't sure going in what I was going to find, since 19th century novels are a bit of a hit or miss for me, because I did like A Scarlet Letter and some of Jane Austen's novels, but then you have someone like him, I think it was Herman Melville, Moby Dick, Billy Budd. If I have to teach or read that short story, I'm gonna have a fit. I have issues with it, in case you didn't notice, but Bram Stoker, while it does take a little bit to get to where things are really exciting, he does keep the tension up really well. His characters are really well rounded, I would say. You might disagree, but even his female characters have some personality, individuality about them. There we go. Had to take a couple of tries to say that word, so woohoo. But yeah, well-rounded characters, a very interesting plot. Yes, Van Helsing does make his appearance, and he's a very important character, as some of you who are familiar with the Dracula lore might know. So this is the original Dracula. This is the original, not vampire, but the original rendition of the one we know and love. So I would rate it 5 out of 5 stars, just for its engaging nature, and I actually sat on the edge of my seat. I was invested in this story in a way that a number of the stories that I've read just don't do it for me. So, if you like horror, thriller, some very interesting romance, give it a shot. So, this is a thick book, as you might have noticed, but it is a fairly easy read as far as readability and just the words that they use. It, for most adults and teenagers, it should be pretty easy to read. And for age recommendations, there we go, I would say probably high school and up, partially because of some of the themes, but mostly because it is, I don't know, it may not be something that younger people enjoy, just it is about adults and a lot of adult things, and it's intense, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's a vampire that's trying to drain everyone of their life force and all of that, so it's gonna be intense. But thank you so much for listening to this opinion of mine, and let's go ahead and talk about next week. So I've already chosen next week because I found a book at my local library. I'm gonna have to go grab it for you just a minute. And I read it in about a day because it's thick. It's thick. It's called The Star and the Strange Moon. And this was one of those that I found it randomly and I was like, oh, this sounds like a very interesting concept, and it was. So, let's take a look, shall we? 1968. Gemma Turner once dreamed of stardom. Now the actress is on the cusp of obscurity. When she's offered the lead in a radical new film, Gemma believes her luck has changed, but her dream is about to turn into a nightmare. One night, between the shadows of an alleyway, Gemma disappears on set and is never seen again. Yet Gemma is alive. She's been pulled into the film and the script, and the monsters within it are coming to life. 2007, though I'm not really sure why they chose 2007 because it did not have relevance in the book that I could see. Gemma Turner's disappearance is one of Hollywood's greatest mysteries, one that's captivated film director Christopher Kent ever since he saw, I'm really sorry I can't say that, but The Strange Moon is the English title, it's in French, for the first time. The screenings only happen once a decade, and each time there is new, impossible footage of Gemma that shouldn't exist. Curiosity drives Christopher to unravel the truth, but answers to the film's mystery may leave him trapped by it forever. I found this book very fascinating, and I really want to share it with the rest of you, with all of its twists and turns and some of my personal reservations about it. But this will be up next Friday, but I will see you on Monday for our next writing vlog, and I hope you have a good weekend.